Have you ever wondered how the concept of voting came into existence? Let's travel back to the cradle of democracy, ancient Greece, around 508 BC. Here, the first known form of democracy emerged with a unique twist. Voters, who were male landowners, voted for the political leader they most wanted to be exiled for the next decade. They scribbled their choice on broken pieces of pottery, called ostraka, giving birth to the term ostracize. The leader with more than 6,000 votes was exiled. If no leader received this number, they all remained, making it a system that only ousted those deeply unpopular. Now imagine a world where politicians had to survive 6,000 negative votes. Quite a feat, wouldn't you say? Now let's journey forward to medieval Venice in the 13th century. The Venetian state solidified and elected a great council of 40 members. Here they implemented approval voting, where electors cast a vote for every candidate they found acceptable. The winner was the person who was acceptable to the largest number of voters. As we move across the world, we find American history rooted in ever-increasing rights, including voting rights. The rules for eligible voters have undergone dramatic changes since 1776. Initially, only white men over 21 could vote. But America's strength lies in its ability to evolve, adapt, and grow. After the Civil War in the late 1860s, the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments to the U.S. Constitution were passed. These outlawed slavery and extended civil rights and suffrage to former slaves, although numerous restrictions kept many from actually voting until the 1960s Voting Rights Act. The 17th Amendment, ratified in 1913, changed the game further by allowing direct election of U.S. senators by popular vote. Before this, senators were appointed. However, the president is still elected by the Electoral College, not by popular vote. The 19th Amendment, ratified in 1920, extended the right to vote to women, marking a significant milestone in the history of voting rights. However, it's worth noting that not all countries were as swift to adopt these changes. Women in Switzerland didn't gain the right to vote until the 1970s, and in Kuwait, women couldn't vote until 1990. In 1971, as the Vietnam War raged, the 26th Amendment lowered the voting age from 21 to 18, reflecting the belief that if you were old enough to be drafted into the military, you were certainly old enough to vote. So there you have it, a brief but enlightening journey through the evolution of voting rights and systems, from ancient Greece to the modern era, a testament to the ever-evolving nature of democracies and the relentless pursuit of equality and justice. And remember, every vote counts, so make yours heard.
Subscribe now and press the bell icon. Never miss an update.
Our first stop takes us to the parliamentary systems found in countries like England, Australia, and Japan, among others. In these systems, legislators are elected at large, meaning the entire country's electorate votes for one party. The party's total votes then determine how many legislative seats they secure. The Prime Minister is the leading figure on the list of the party with the most votes. This system has a natural affinity for multiple parties, as any party garnering enough votes for even one seat earns a voice in Parliament. Next, we explore instant runoff voting, or IRV, a system designed to encourage third-party participation in a two-party system. In this system, voters rank their preferred candidates. If their first choice doesn't win, their vote transfers to their second choice, and so on. This ingenious system allows for a more nuanced expression of political preferences, while eliminating the so-called spoiler effect. IRV is utilized in numerous nations, and even in several municipal elections in the US. Our journey then takes us to the concept of fusion voting, a system that allows candidates to run under multiple party labels in one election. This system, prominent in New York State, encourages third-party participation, as voters can choose a person and a party. This leads to much negotiation for third-party nominations by major party candidates, adding a unique dynamic to the electoral process. Lastly, we touch on the tools of democracy, voting equipment. Following the disputed 2000 US presidential election, Congress passed the Help America Vote Act, HAVA, to address many of the issues raised. This act ensures that voters can cast a provisional ballot if their status is disputed, and prevents people with the same names as felons from being routinely removed from voting rolls. In conclusion, the world of voting systems is as varied as it is fascinating. From the parliamentary systems of England and Japan to fusion voting in New York State, These systems shape the political landscapes of their respective nations. Each system has its strengths and weaknesses, but they all strive towards a common goal: to ensure that every voice is heard, every vote counts, and every citizen is part of their nation's democratic journey.
Have you ever pondered about the significance of ballot design in elections? It might seem like a trivial matter, but the design of a ballot can have a profound impact on election results. That's right. Something as seemingly inconsequential as the layout, color, and symbols on a ballot paper can shape the fate of a democracy. The importance of ballot design became glaringly apparent during the U.S. presidential election of 2000 and the California gubernatorial recall election of 2003. In these instances, the design of the ballot papers came under scrutiny for their potential to influence voting decisions. When elections are neck and neck, the design of the ballot can tip the scales. For instance, the butterfly ballots in Florida and the punch cards in California highlighted the pivotal role of ballot design in established democracies. However, the impact of ballot design extends beyond the borders of the United States. From Africa to Latin America, Eastern Europe to the South Pacific, elections have been influenced by colors, symbols, photographs, and ballot layout. It's fascinating that one of the most crucial processes in human society, electing leaders, has barely changed in 2,500 years. The design of ballot papers, a key aspect of voting, remained largely static until the dawn of the 20th century. Yet, the 21st century brought about a new era of ballot design and innovation. Countries around the world began experimenting with multicolored ballots, symbols, and photographs of candidates to facilitate voting for illiterates, reduce voting errors, and provide more information. However, these innovations were not merely aesthetic. They had the potential to influence voting behavior and election outcomes. The 19th century American elections and many post-war developing countries have used symbols on their voting papers. However, there has been limited research into the effect of ballot paper design and the act of voting itself. This gap in research is surprising given the significant role ballot design plays in the democratic process. So, the next time you cast your vote, take a moment to appreciate the design of the ballot paper. Remember, it's not just about who you vote for, but also how you vote. The design of the ballot paper, the symbols used, the order of the candidates' names, all these elements can influence the outcome of an election. In conclusion, ballot design is a critical aspect of the democratic process and can significantly impact election results. From the color and layout of the ballot to the use of symbols and photographs, every element of the design can influence voter behavior. The evolution of ballot design over the years has brought about new ways of facilitating voting and presenting candidates, but it has also opened up a new avenue for influencing elections. Therefore, it's essential to continue studying and refining the design of ballot papers to ensure a fair and effective democratic process. So, next time you find yourself in a voting booth, remember the design of that little piece of paper in your hands holds more power than you might think.
Subscribe now and press the bell icon. Never miss an update.
Did you know that over half of all countries and territories enforce a policy of compulsory voter registration? This intriguing fact is the beginning of our journey as we explore the diverse world of global voting practices. Starting off in South America, Argentina and Chile have adopted a system where voter registration is automatic, based on government records such as census counts. A similar practice is also observed in Hungary, Israel, and the Netherlands. However, the penalties for non-compliance vary, with countries like New Zealand, Tonga, and the United Kingdom imposing fines on those who fail to register. On the other side of the globe, in the world's largest democracy, India, voter rolls are compiled automatically through census data collection, although registration is not mandatory. Similarly, Mongolia shares this practice. Interestingly, in Austria, both voter registration and voting itself were mandatory in at least one province until 2004. Today, no such requirement exists. Traveling to the United States, we find a different scenario. There is no compulsory voter registration, although it is a prerequisite for voting in nearly all states and U.S. territories, with North Dakota being an exception. When it comes to age restrictions, the majority of countries and territories, including the U.S., have set the minimum voting age at 18 for national elections. However, there are exceptions like Argentina, Austria, and Brazil, who have lowered this to 16. The United Arab Emirates stands at the other end of the spectrum, requiring citizens to be at least 25. In Italy, there is a unique split voting age system, 18 for the lower house of parliament and 25 for Senate elections. Before the worldwide coronavirus outbreak, about a quarter of countries utilized postal ballots for their national elections. This method was especially popular in Europe, North America, and some Asia-Pacific countries like India, Indonesia, South Korea, and Sri Lanka. Paper ballots, however, dominate the voting scene, being used in 209 out of 227 countries and territories. The method varies, with some countries opting for symbols on a comprehensive list of candidates or parties, while others, like Israel and Mali, use party-specific ballots. In addition, about 10% of countries use electronic voting machines, alongside paper ballots, with countries as large as India and the US and as small as Singapore incorporating this technology. In summary, global voting practices vary widely, from compulsory registration in over half of the world's countries and territories to the different minimum age requirements for voting. The methods of casting votes also differ, with paper ballots being the most common, followed by postal voting and electronic machines. It truly is a diverse and fascinating world when it comes to how each country exercises its democratic right to vote.